So this watch looks familiar, but is it better than a San Martin? Well, let's find out. Welcome back to the channel, all you watch heroes and nerds. And today, well, enough of the proverbial foreplay. I'm going to stop tickling your balls and give you a review for the new year. And it's long overdue. So today I am not reviewing the San Martin SN0116, although it does look like the San Martin. Nope, this is a Taranis Nevez GMT. Now, Taranis are a micro brand in the United Kingdom, and the owner of the brand liked what San Martin were doing so much that, well, he and his co-founder decided to create their own watch finished in the same style as San Martin. Now, obviously this watch will be coming out of China, out of the same factories, but they have added their own additional touches. Now, the brand owners are actually watch modders themselves and have been building unique watches since something like 2021 under the name CS Wrist Shop. So some of you may already know that name, which is pretty good. And by extension, in the new year they decided to create a new brand and rename themselves Taranis. Since then they've got a new watch out, which I'm looking at today. It's a very interesting watch, and I think all of this is pretty good to hear, especially since their old shop managed to sell around 450 watches plus before they rebranded and became a micro brand. So hopefully they know what they're talking about, especially when it comes to specs. Now, all that in mind, have you ever heard of a microbrand to homage a Chinese brand? No? Well, most importantly, is this watch a winner or is it a binner? Well, let's find out. Okay, so it is spec time, you bunch of nerds, and get your special hanky ready as this wears really nicely. Now, if you're familiar with San Martin, these will be familiar to you in terms of dimensions. 39.5mm in diameter, 12.2mm thickness, 46.5mm lug to lug, and 20mm at the lugs. In addition to those, you have 100 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, boxed domed sapphire crystal, a 24-click bidirectional bezel with aluminium bezel insert, and of course nice cool blue lume. On the bracelet you have a 3-link oyster-esque style with drilled lugs for easy changes, a milled clasp, and a super smooth on the fly adjustment. The movement, as you would have guessed by now, is the Seiko NH34A. This is a colour match date wheel one. It has 24 jewels, it hacks, it hand winds, it is a cordless GMT of course, and has a 41-hour power reserve. Now, all of that together is a lot of specs here, I tell you. So it's time to focus on what many people actually care about, the looks. And yeah, it looks good, of course it does. On the face of it, you have a lovely sword hand with a pop of blue from the tip of the second hand and the GMT hand. The dial is a nice black with a cream white minute track on the outer edge. Again, nice and simple print on the dial for this one. All white again, with the exception of the GMT in blue writing. All of the other markers are batons and they are applied, and again a lovely little touch of colour matched with the date wheel at 6 o'clock as well. The crown is stamped and signed with a logo of Taranis, and the case back has a nice, if not maybe excessive, carving on the case back. Look, on case backs in general, by the way, I don't mind them at all, but to be brutally honest, I don't really pay much attention to the designs on closed case backs in general, so I know some people really do focus on that, but for me, not really as big a thing, so I don't really mind what design there is on there so long as it's not completely insane. Okay, so instead of pushing you one way or the other, I'm going to close off this review by listing 3 reasons why you should consider the Taranis and 2 reasons why you may not want one. Okay, so here we go. The first pro is a really easy one to start off with. Taranis have committed to donating 5% of the revenue made on their watch sales to the RAF Association, a charity which supports the welfare of former members of the Royal Air Force and their families. Now, my granddad was a pilot in the RAF, so yeah, I do like this one. However, the first con, well, if you don't like the current conservative colourway, this is a con, you are shiz out of luck. At the moment, it is the only design and model, so if colour is your thing, then maybe the San Martin is worth a second look here. Okay, so one con, one pro, or one pro, one con. It's time for the second pro. This watch is really well made and packed with all the specs. Yes, San Martin already packed the specs with it, but you can tell that the guys over at Taranis know what sells and they've played to that in the market as well. So you can't fault them that. Right, so this leads me on to the second con. It is heavily based on the San Martin GMT, so if you can't get your head around a microbrand flipping the script and homaging a Chinese brand for once, then, well, I don't know what to tell you. And finally, I'm going to end this one off with a pro for Taranis here, and it's the price. So the price for this one, including taxes, is currently £249.99. Now, in contrast, the cheapest San Martin GMT that I could find at the time of recording was on a leather strap, not the bracelet, and for contrast, this is currently going for £225.99 plus an additional £45.20 in tax, which would make it come to £271.19. And that is on the leather strap, not on the bracelet. So not only is the Taranis well made, well, it's an equivalently well made watch, it's a UK microbrand, and you're saving yourself around £21.20. So if you like the colorway, then I think you've actually got a bit of a bargain here. So there you have it, watch nerds, my first proper watch review of 2025, and you know what, I really like it. Look, the Taranis is or has all of the refinement of a San Martin, but from a UK microbrand for actually cheaper than you can get the original San Martin. So what's not to love? Look, if you aren't a fan of the traditional colorways, and if you're not a fan of a microbrand for once flipping the script and homaging a Chinese brand, then yeah, maybe this one isn't for you. But if you can get over all of that, the specs on offer are fantastic, the watch wears and looks amazing, and there is some stamp of individuality here. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and as always guys, take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.